Alright, let's talk a little bit more about racism. It's 3:30 in the morning. Should go to bed. I'm going to make a video about racism first. Alright, one thing that happens to me is people say, some people, presumably white racists, how's the white guilt feel when I make videos on race? I just got that comment in like a year and a half old Zimmerman video. How's the white guilt feel? Well, speak for yourself, Kimosabe. I don't even feel white. Oh, but your skin is white. Yeah, but I think you're a bunch of nutty, tribal, tribe-seeking people that must have problems with your individual self-esteem if you're seeking a group self-esteem. That's what I think. Now, yeah, a lot of me is Mayflower white, European, but, you know, I'm also an 8th Polynesian and a 16th Cherokee, and I'm a Mutt, as far as I'm concerned. It's pointless for me to go, but my tribe. And I'm disgusted by you guys. White guilt? I have no guilt. On the other hand, yeah, I mean, my white ancestors, though they were all too poor, I know my genealogy, they were all too poor to own slaves, as far as I can tell. There's those slaves in my family. They still benefited from a country that employed slave labor. That's the way that it is. That's not white guilt, that's reality. But you want to pay reparations. I didn't say that. But yeah, reparations all around. Reparations for me too. There's a reason I came to the United States of America myself. I've been a peasant. Right? The whole idea of profiling people. See, the unfair thing with African Americans is that the whole group, racists profile the whole group the way European mentality already profiles the poor. Remember, please remember, the paupers, the peasants of Europe, they were oppressed the whole time, even when the royalty didn't go off to other countries and oppress others as well. Right? And the mind game that the royalty that benefited from this slave labor, they played this mind game. The mind game they played on their own peasants, going, hey, well, at least now you're not at the bottom rung. These guys will do that. So I'm on the same rung as a peasant that I've always been on, and they've invented a rung below me. Whippy! Yeah. So, you know, I was profiled, and I think that's important. But as I said, when you're black, you could be a fucking law professor and get profiled while you're in your own home. You can be a CNN anchor and get stopped on the way to your house. Okay, so that's an issue. But we shouldn't forget, in my opinion, that the point is to get beyond this race stuff, because it's very stupid tribal. Right? It's the root of a lot of your bad ideas. Okay? Now, there's racial elements in something like the Zimmerman trial, and Black Heavyweight always pissing me off, because every time I talk about this, he makes some comment like I'm supporting Zimmerman. I'm like, dude, and he knows I'm not, and yet it's just like something will set him up. What? It's not totally racial? Well, no, because in this sense, right, KKK racist could see a sweet old lady walking down the street and it's like, racial. Zimmerman wasn't doing that. You know, there was a racial aspect because he's simple-minded. You know, an African-American kid got caught stealing stuff, so he's like on his lookout for I guess I better look out for that. Right? So that's a racial aspect. But he's simple-minded. It could have, if he saw another Hispanic kid or white kid or anybody that had fit his mentality, his simple-mindedness, could have been slotted that way. Now, was that in this case? Well, no. I think that's why it should have been murder too, was because of that aspect. Because he was building up Zimmerman a resentment, I think, for the stereotype that was robbing him in his head, and then he assigned that to Trayvon, and there you go, ill will. I think the murder one part could have happened anywhere. He could have killed those people he supposedly rescued from the car. Who knows? If he got on the wrong side of the stereotype, simple-minded, I'm trying to think, but I don't really know how, side of, I also have a gun, boom, dead. Right? So I'm not denying the racial aspects. It's there, but it's important to me to, as a thought experiment, to help address the racial part, for that matter, to say separate it. What was wrong about this? He killed this unarmed kid. And then when people realize, oh yeah, that was wrong, then they can decide, well, why did I think it was okay? Maybe there's something racial for them to think about. Now, some people seem to have thought that I was implying that even if Trayvon attacked George, that's okay because of racial things, and they're getting... No, that's kind of what Obama was saying, and there's a truth to that. Any African American understands this is real. It's insulting for people to go, no, it's not even real. It doesn't happen. People don't behave that way to you. You never experience that. No, that's not true. They do. So they know, and I also know, and I have experienced it. It's not vicariously through white guilt. I've experienced the profiling of simple-minded people with their stereotypes. And it applies to people they think that are white, trashy people and other ethnicities and all around. Okay, it does. Now, if you want to think that way, I have a problem with it. It's simple-minded, and you think you're individualistic, and you're an individual, and still you're thinking with your tribe logic and making your tribe logic, and sometimes it might even be accidentally right enough, and sometimes it's oops, accidentally wrong, and you find out about it. It's like, but we got to live with it. Mainly, you have to get over it. You need to learn ways to deal with people as individuals, right? Right, in my opinion, whatever the aspects, there's enough objective knowledge of the situation that should not be called, oh, okay, I guess shit happens, in my opinion. It's not because there was a racial aspect. It's not because it was in Florida. It's not because of any of those things. It's not purely because of Second Amendment issues. It's not devoid of those. It's not purely because of the crazy conservative lawmaking in Florida. It's not because of that. Right? It's a whole confluence of things, and really it's what bugs me is this thinking that people can lock in. And the biggest racial aspect is that so many people are like, oh yeah, I could see why he thought he was going to get killed. Now my point is that if Trayvon hit George first, I would say, well, he was spooked. That's his self-defense. Oops, just like George Zimmerman. Oops, I killed someone. I mean, Trayvon, oops, I punched a guy that wasn't really going to rape me. And if you pursued someone, then yeah, you got to be a man and fight back. I mean, why is this a defense? People are like, but Zimmerman had no marks on his hands or anything. He didn't fight back. Trayvon didn't get hit. Why the fuck not? You follow some kid you think is a thug, and that a lot of your supporters think is a thug. You follow him in, and he's allegedly attacks you, and your approach is, well, I should just let him for a while, for a couple minutes, and then I'll shoot him. Well, very logical, manly men. It's an assessment of the situation. And really the situation is that to a large degree, race is too much of an issue because it's an imaginary issue. For example, from the white supremacists that think there's going to be a race war and we're going to have race riots because of this, trial. Okay. But it's just equally people ignoring it. But ignoring what? Ignoring that it's an issue? No, ignoring that people think it's an issue. The problem is people think it's an issue. But it is an issue, Piero. Well, it's an issue because fucking people act on the fact that they think it's an issue. In other words, it's an issue because people are fucking morons. We have bigger fish to fry if we were smart enough. Like the issue of stereotypical framing in general. Right? Like the issue of economic oppression. Like the issue of why are we still giving the world to the bankers? They probably own enough of it already. Things like that.